Good morning, East Tennessee. Let's go ahead and get started. It is about 2:42 in the morning. It is Memorial Day, a day that we typically and will still always use as a day to remember the fallen. But it is very early in the morning, and we have a tornado warning in effect for parts of our viewing area that would be in southeast Kentucky. I've left the track on here to show you how fast this is moving. We're talking specifically southeast Kentucky for a tornado warning that lasts until 3 a.m. So that's another 17 minutes from now. Some of the towns that are affected or could be affected by a possible tornado is flashing on your screen there. It's to the right. It's now been extended to include places like Calvin, Colmar, and Ingram, and including looks like right on the edge of Middlesboro. So there's some areas that are now expanding as we speak. But right now, southwestern Bell County, south central Knox County, Kentucky, and southeastern Whitley County until was 2:45 for one box. It's now, I believe, now been extended here until 3 a.m. So we have a new box, new warning. Let me go ahead and clear this off, because if you are in this path and you've been alarmed or awakened by thunder, by winds, we probably have a little bit of everything at this point. But let me zoom in. This area around Chenoa, Frakes, this is the same area that got hit yesterday afternoon, almost 12 hours ago. It was just about this time that you had a similar storm with perhaps the same type of characteristics. There could certainly be some elements here that would suggest that there could be some rotation, but there again, we're talking about velocity here that might be certainly something to note, although 30 or 42 mile an hour winds may not be that suggestive here, but there could be certainly enough shear while showing some signs of rotation. It's best to be in your safe space if you have an interior room in your house, to make sure that you're in that space at this particular time. But let this pass the next few minutes. There are some areas in green here, zooming in some areas around Chenoa, but Capito, now including Ponza and Pineville. So these are the areas that are under the tornado warning in southeast Kentucky. Just to kind of expand the view just a bit, again, if you're in your safe space, you're doing everything you could be asked to do. There's nothing more that you need to do if your family has been awakened by this particular storm. Again, we're looking at the potential for a rotation. The latest update from the Weather Service says flying debris will be dangerous if those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. And it also says tree damage is likely. They thought it would be around Frakes at 2:35. It's already past that area. And also Prudent about 2:40. So we're clearly past those times. Let me go back to the new warning, the one that's expanded over toward Pineville. There are some areas that now have been added to this tornado warning that's going to last until 3 a.m. That's what we're seeing here. Let me stop the loop here. Go back again to perhaps just look at the radar reflectivity here. But you can see this is the box that's flashing now. It's one tornado warning that now lasts until 3 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my phone here, because some of the data that I had earlier needs to be refreshed. And this is information that I'm accessing that you can have access to if you're on the Captain Accurate Weather app. You can get the information that I'm getting from the Weather Service. They clearly have now added southeastern Whitley County till 3. This is moving east at 35 miles per hour. They believe it is a severe thunderstorm, in fact, that's capable of producing a tornado. Again, not full confidence that it is a tornado, but it's probably enough reason that if you're in Middlesboro, you need to be in your safe space. They're talking about Fond about 2:45. We've just hit that point. Davisburg about 2:50. And Noetown, Noetonw, Tonwn, around 2:55. The urgency of this is take cover now, move to a basement or an interior room on your lowest floor of a sturdy building, and avoid windows. Again, if you're in the path of this storm, if we'll go ahead and see about looking at this particular storm. They're suggesting that it's moving about 35 miles per hour, so it would be headed to the east. That's what the estimation is at this point. That would put us right about here. It's moving apparently in the direction of Kaler and in the direction of Jonesville, Boone's Path, down the road if it holds together. But right now, the ones that are most likely to be impacted would be East Pineville, Colmar at 2:50, Middlesboro at 2:50. So you've got 3 more minutes. If you're in Middlesboro, if you're in what's known as Crater City,
this would be a good time to be in a safe space. And you're like, I'm trying to sleep, Aldrich. I get it. If this woke you up, then it's probably a good thing to just be safe. If that means an interior room of your home, a basement, a bathroom or closet that doesn't have windows, that'd be the best spot to be if possible. There's just a suggestion that might be of help. And if it does turn out to be not much of a situation, then once it passes, it'll be a lot easier to go back to bed. But Calvin right now is expected to be around you at 253, Hutch at 254, and Cumberland Gap perhaps around 257. So keep in mind, this is about to hit the Middlesboro area, and Pineville, East Pineville, here in about 60 seconds estimated here. As you can see some of the times on the right. But this is a tornado warning for southeast Kentucky. Now, if you're just getting up and you're in the Knox County area, let me just give you some perspective. Knox County is still under a tornado watch until 6 a.m. We have some storms that are now moving through Crossville. They're now moving through Wartburg and now approaching Clinton, that are not severe but are heavy rainmakers, and I would imagine quite a bit of thunder. Yes, quite a bit. Over 1,100 strikes here on this image here. So a lot of thunder that's going to wake up you, perhaps. If you're in the path of this squall line here, it's approaching Harriman and approaching Spring City, but not of the severe limits as of yet. The only tornado warnings, they turn the lightning back off and try and declutter this map for us. There's a little downpour south of Maryville right now, but again, those are not the biggest concern right now. It's the tornado warning, and for those that might be in the path of this storm. This, again, is issued by the National Weather Service out of Jackson, Kentucky. We had a very similar storm. I mean, it almost looks like the same polygon, practically, that we had 12 hours ago. It's not the same one, but some of the same towns like Middlesboro and Comar were, in fact, in the path of this storm. If you're on the call, let me know. Would like to say good morning to you. I did go to bed early to maybe get a nap or two, just to get this ready in case this was what I thought it could be, which was round 3, because the first round was the one that we had about 12 hours ago. The ones that affected areas from Corbin and Barberville, those were under tornado warnings around 1:45 yesterday afternoon. And now, yes, it is early in the morning on Memorial Day, and we are not. It's the purpose of today hasn't been lost on anyone. I just wanted to make sure you know that it's very early this morning. This will not characterize the whole day, but this will certainly be the way it may start for many. If you're on the call, I'm looking at Facebook, some comments that might be coming in. I see Bailey Elizabeth. Thanks for being on. My pleasure. I just want everybody to be aware that while there are some storms coming through East Tennessee, right now they're not of the severe nature like they are in southeast Kentucky. So that's why I've zoomed in on an area that is of concern. And that should not say tornado watch, although we're looking at this tornado warning that's Bell County, about to close in on Middlesboro. Really focused on a populated area. Middlesboro to Pineville. Please be in your safe space. Let this storm pass. Again, winds and velocity. I'm sure there's some hail here too. But the velocity would suggest there's been some winds maybe closing in and maybe some rotation here. Typically we see this again. This would be toward and away. This is the storm relative velocity here. But if we turn this off right on this side so you can see a little easier, this is the tornado warning area where you typically see the green. Again, it's moving toward perhaps the Morristown's radar site. In fact, if we change gears, we might have a better intel by looking at the Jacksonville velocity. Yeah, you can see that there's winds that are in the green area that's moving toward, and the red areas might be considered away. But either way, the shear of this is probably another thing to focus on. It does not look as impressive as it did maybe even 15 minutes ago. You be the judge. You can see some of these green areas, but there was a reason for the National Weather Service out of Jackson to issue a tornado warning. So we're not going to overthink it. Just know that this too shall pass. We've got a few more minutes just till 3 o'clock. This runs till 3 a.m., and then that hopefully will be the last of it. We'll have to wait and see. Just kind of walk you through it and know that if you're in the path of this tornado warning, Pineville to Middlesboro, please stay in your safe space for a few more minutes. The reflectivity has obviously intensified. This includes places like Calvin, Ponza, Comar, and again, this is moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. So if we put this little track in here, it's really downtown Middlesboro right now. But this storm has been moving 35 miles per hour to the east, and that would include these towns.
as I'm looking at your comments now on Facebook. Heather Goins says, watching from Cumberland Gap. Thank you. You're more than welcome. Debbie Lawn Shrewsbury says, good morning, David. Thanks for the updates. My pleasure. And Cody LaRouche says, good early Monday morning, Memorial Day. Everyone stay safe this morning. Thank you for your updates. I'm on YouTube and Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, give me a shout out. Keep an eye on this. Again, very thankful for the different platforms because, again, everybody gets information differently at different times. But again, this too shall pass. We'll get through this, I think, over time. This little squall line, again, we've had some pretty strong storms from yesterday, but then the sun popped out, interestingly enough. Brian Stotler says it's raining in Tennessee right. Yeah, it's coming down hard. Certainly from the Powell Valley, we mentioned, or maybe didn't mention as much, but we have, in addition to the tornado warning, just further south toward Powell Valley and Speedwell, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Claiborne County. That is expected to go to 3:15. So the one that's in Powell Valley might very well be approaching Sharps Chapel here in the next few minutes. We'll do more of a track here at the top of the hour for the areas in Tennessee, but I want to get us through this tornado warning. Bell County, it's also, again, as I look at the update from the Weather Service, as they've updated us, they said at 2:40, this was over Pearl. So if you know southeast Kentucky and you know where Pearl is, or about 13 miles southeast of Williamsburg, it was moving east to 35. That's where this storm was. And that was what, 2:40. So that was a few minutes ago. If you rewind the tape, so to speak, you can see where it's moved in just the last 15 minutes. So this was a severe thunderstorm warning first, and then it morphed into, or was upgraded to, a warning of the tornado variety. So it went from yellow to red in a short period of time, but it is now 2:54. So thank you, Brian. Says watching on YouTube out of Tansy. So thank you for being on here, Brian. Brian, appreciate your time. I know that a lot of us would prefer to be asleep. Some of us might even be working the third shift. I don't know what caused you to get up, other than maybe the weather. New Tazewell here, says Melanie Weber Hatfield. Good to have Melanie here. Heather's on here. Heather Crowder from New Tazewell is watching as well. Some very strong storms headed toward Tazewell, New Tazewell, of the severe nature, but that is not listed as a tornado warning. The one that's north of you is, as I hopefully we've been able to explain here over this short period of time. It is 2:55. Just getting my bearings as well, as I'm a little asleep like many of you are, but watching this again work its way through this area. It was to have been around Davisburg. That is, a severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado. It was to have crossed through Davisburg about 2:50. I've got Cumberland Gap at 2:57, and that's about 2 minutes from now. So for those of you that might be watching from Harrogate, see Justin Long is on here. Zoom in a little bit tighter. You can see that we've got, in this particular box here, we got Middlesboro. We have, who else do we have? We got Meldrum. We got Comar. We got Calvin. We got Binghamtown, Capito. These are the areas that are flashing in the red box for a possible tornado, torrential rain, loud, heavy rain, and even some hail, no doubt. If we even look at the hail situation here, usually you might see a pretty big signature for hail. If we look a little bit more here, let's see where this is showing up. Maybe not that strong of an indicator. Half-inch hail here or there, and maybe up towards Ferndale, just east of Pineville, about half-inch. But again, biggest concern would be the winds, and it doesn't have to be a tornado to take out power. That's another thing. If your phone has been charged, you haven't been aware that the electricity could very well come out. This has been a hard-hit area from just yesterday. As I mentioned, 12 hours ago, we had a similar situation, and now we're just about 4 minutes away from 3 o'clock. That's important because that's when this is expected to expire. Could this go out to, could it go out to Alva? Sure. Could it go out to Kaler? I'm circling some towns that might be in the line of this path next. But clearly, by far and away, there's Harrogate. Harrogate is not under the warning. Not officially you're not. But you are south of Middlesboro, southeast, and those areas are going to be getting some heavy rain. Right now, the tornado warning that's flashing does include Crater City. It does include Middlesboro. That's the nickname. Middlesboro, home to Lee Majors. If you pass through Middlesboro, you know for sure this is a town that is it's a population center of Bell County, and it extends all the way up to Pineville. So it's really this flashing area. Things are looking a little bit better now for Frakes.
The storm looks like it's now moving away from Frakes and moving away from Chenoa, but clearly Ferndale, Calvin, Middlesboro itself has about 3 more minutes to this tornado warning. Harrogate, you can see at the I'll circle Harrogate here. So Harrogate's getting some rain, but the heavier rains, if they decide to extend this into Harrogate, they're going to do so in the next 2 minutes because it's now just about 2:58. Got some new notes. Crater City, that's Justin Long saying with exclamation points, watching from Speedwell. Kathy Shaw says she's watching from LaFollette. Good morning to you all. Renee Stone watching from Alcoa. We mentioned that the rain is coming down hard in some areas, but we'll give this another 2 minutes. Keep an eye on this area that I'm circling here because this is the focal point. Last I checked, as I clear my telestrator, last I checked, this is the only only tornado warning on the map. We have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that now includes Knox County from the city northward. So we'll get into this here a little more closely here in the next 2 minutes. But let's get through the tornado warning. Clearly, there's rain coming down hard in Crossville. Don't want to leave Crossville out. If you're awake because of the thunder and lightning, there's plenty of that too. Over 1,100 strikes on this image alone. So everybody's going to be getting some rain this morning in the wee hours of the morning. But we're just about to 3 o'clock straight up, so we'll have to wait and see. But we'll get more into the Maynardville, Clinton, Oak Ridge severe thunderstorm warning in just a moment. Let's get through the next 60 seconds and see what the Weather Service decides to do. I will point out Harlan County. You are also under a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds of 60 miles an hour possible here. Could this become a tornado warning for Harlan County? We'll wait and see, because as this one in Middlesboro to Pineville, if there's enough evidence for the Weather Service to pull the trigger, I want to speak with one voice for them. If they're going to put out a warning, I'm not going to negate it and say, hey, no, it's not this or it's that. My opinion is that if you're in a flashing red box, it's best to be safe than sorry. Better to be safe than sorry. And right now, this lasts until 3 o'clock. So keep an eye on the box here. We're just about to 3 o'clock in the morning. Middlesboro, Pikeville, under that warning for the next 60 seconds. We'll see how this plays out. But I'm just watching this closely because, like you, you're probably fast asleep, and Mother Nature decided to give you an alarm clock. And that's very likely possible here. Looks like this may actually expire here as my computer updates. So I do see it's now 3 a.m. And if you're on the call, thank you for watching. Melissa says I was sleeping so good too. I feel your pain, Melissa. I know, now it's stopped, right? Look at the red box. It's now disappeared, and now we have simply a severe thunderstorm warning. So at this point in time, for those of you that might have been hunkering down for a few minutes, thank you for your patience. Just wanted to keep you safe. I'm talking about those from Middlesboro to Pineville. The tornado warning is now officially over. And at this point, the Weather Service out of Jackson has decided to continue it under the header as a severe thunderstorm warning. So this rain that's moving along 119, heading into Harlan, will have the possibility of producing 60-mile-an-hour gusts. Haven't seen that show up yet on my data, on my velocity yet, but that again is what the expectation is. So the latest warning that includes Harlan, Bell, Eastern Knox, Southeastern Owsley, Leslie County, Letcher County, Perry County, Southern Knott County, and Southeastern Clay County till 3:30. This is all moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. So we'll kind of wrap things up. It includes Hazard too. This is an area that's getting hit hard. This line right in here is moving at 45 miles per hour. So that would put it into Wise eventually. Big Stone Gap. Mentioned Harlan County here. But just to kind of wrap up things here for Southeast Kentucky, just so if you're in the path of Tremont around 303, Big Rock 304, and Happy may not be too happy at 304 if they have a severe thunderstorm warning, but that's some of the small towns. I'm not making that up. There is a town called Happy. Fresh Meadows 305 and Keith at 305 for a potential strong severe thunderstorm in that path. All right, so let's move back to Tennessee. Now that we've gotten through the severe thunderstorm, through the tornado warning, it's 302. We've got one big box that includes Knox County. That's where we'll start. And we'll actually want to go back into Harrogate, because Harrogate was right on the edge of this same system. It includes Arthur. We got one here in Powell Valley. It's interesting. They've got two little polygons, these irregularly shaped polygons. The one that's approaching Arthur and leaving the Powell Valley area is believed to be moving now at 35 miles an hour. So let's just do a track here, and then we'll move southward. I'll try and keep it simple, not to overthink it, but this is all moving to the east at 35. And I'm looking at the app here. They believe this has 60-mile-an-hour winds, potentially, and quarter-size hail. But if it's moving 35, that would be in the direction of Sneedville, right? Sneedville, Kyles Ford would be on the path of this storm down the road. This includes Harrogate 304. So Harrogate, heavier rains are in your path. Not a tornado warning, but a severe thunderstorm warning. And that, as you can see here, till 3:15. So this runs till 3:15. This also includes Combs 307, Lily Grove 308, Big Barron 309, and Cup Mill 310. Tazewell, you're also in the path of this storm. The expectation is it could be affecting areas like Springdale, Cumberland Gap, and Arthur. We can clearly see it's in that path, so we want to make sure that you are away from windows, and if you can, you don't have to be in your safe space, but again, the storm is probably strong enough to wake you up. This is what's happening, so I just want to give you an update here. Let's move further south, get back to the heart of Knox County, where we have the Knox County warning. This goes till 3:45. You'll notice they all have different expiration times, but this one that's over here on the center of our screen includes Norris, includes Clinton. We have a severe thunderstorm warning from Maynardville all the way southwestward to Oak Ridge. And this line, as we're going to go back and check some of the information from the Weather Service, they put the severe thunderstorm warning out at 2:57, which was exactly 7 minutes ago. So this is newly issued. It does include Mascot. Corrigan is included, as is Powell. So if we look at this picture, and we'll do a track. I'm just trying to keep in mind that somebody might be just tuning in saying, I've got rain where I am. Yeah, we got some heavy rain about to approach Spring City. Very heavy rain from Lake Tansy south of Crossville and heading eastward toward Harriman. But really the two boxes in Tennessee are the one we just looked at over about to approach Tazewell, New Tazewell, and Arthur and Harrogate, and the severe thunderstorm warning that runs till 3:15. The one that's near Arthur, Claiborne County, let's say, or Harrogate, goes to 3:15. That's 10 more minutes here. And the one that's in Union County, Knox County, that runs till 3:45. So we have 45 minutes estimated of when this will expire, and see if it gets any bigger or weaker. Again, we're still under the tornado watch for Knox County. That is on the board till 6. So good morning to all of you. Maynardville, Union County, you've got some very heavy rain right now. But let's do a track just so you know, and this is again moving to the east at 35. They believe this has hazards of penny-size hail and 60-mile-an-hour gusts. This was all radar indicated from our friends at the Weather Service in Morristown. So let's do a little track here, just drawing a line from farthest reflectivity. We'll move out to the east at 35. That would put us in the direction of Jefferson City, and Kodak are in the path of this storm. We'll move this tornado watch off. I mean, it's still there, but let me move it so you can see what we're looking at here is the severe thunderstorm warning till 3:45. So these are the new towns that will be or will soon be affected. Maynardville, about 3:07. Edgemore, 3:08. Valley View, about, say, what time would Valley View be? Valley View, about 3:08. Volunteer Village, 3:08. Edgewood Heights. Some of these are like, are those even towns? No, some of them could be communities. Some of them could be a subdivision. Some of them could be a little township, a small community. But believe me, if you're in the path of this storm, and I said Sherwood Estates, you go, hey, I know where Sherwood Estates is. If you do, then hopefully that's of help. Because all these little white dots that suddenly appeared on my screen in the center of the screen, those are not hailstones. Those are markers for the towns. There's a lot of towns in here that are going to be affected here in the next few minutes between now and 3:45. But just checking in with you as I'm looking over my shoulder. Jimmy says, watching from Lee County, Virginia. Jimmy, good morning to you. Sorry that you have to wake up to these storms. Renee's watching from Alcoa, and we've got Zach Reagan since he's got power out in Maynardville. That's just a heartbreak. Like I said, this is what I'm calling round 3, because this is my third live stream related to severe weather in the last 24 hours. And Zach, you might have been on the first call. Some of you were. Some of you watched me when the storms came into Tennessee from yesterday afternoon. But the sun popped out. I was talking about how that can also work against us with this type of situation, because the sun popped out. It allowed things to heat back up. Dew points come up, and now we have some stronger storms. But thankfully, knock on wood, there are no tornado warnings at this moment. What we're dealing with at the moment is strong storms, yes, toward Harriman, toward Rockwood. We've got some strong storms now leaving Cumberland County, but some of them are severe, and the ones that are severe are on the center of our screen. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for Anderson. Let me go through those counties for us. It looks like it's southeastern Morgan, southeastern Claiborne County, Anderson County, northern Knox, southeastern Campbell, northeastern Roane, and all of Union County and western Granger till 3:45. So that's where our focal point is. The newest one now includes Tazewell. I don't know if you noticed, but if I go back 15 minutes, go ahead and turn this track off now that you've seen some of these towns. The track, you can see Tazewell and Claiborne County just saw an expansion, and now includes Hancock. You see that one up here? This one, Hancock, till 4 in the morning. So the one that's around Arthur and Harrogate, that's now expanding through the rest of Claiborne County, and now including much of Hancock County, and looks like northern Granger. Yep, till 4 in the morning. So we're going to go back to that one here momentarily, but I'll put the turn the loop off. Let's just check the winds associated with the one we were focused on here, the one that's affecting Maynardville. I'll check power outages here too, as somebody brought that up and talked about losing power in Maynardville. That's a heartbreak no matter what time, day or night. Let's see here. We have the velocity I wanted to see for this particular storm. Let me go back to the velocity. Yeah, we've got some bright colors here. So we've got some potentially very strong winds, 70, 60, perhaps in some spots. There's 59. It's not saying that that is the actual wind, but that's what radar would indicate could be transferring down to the surface. 48 around Clinton, Oak Ridge, maybe 30, Maynardville, gusts of wind around 61. So you've got some very strong winds associated with the energy of this storm that's going to take out power. And with anything above 50, there's no doubt trees could come down and take out your electricity. So this is not good, but it is what we have in front of us. The shear here is weak. Again, no tornado warnings in effect at the moment. And there's been maybe some hail, possible hail for sure, in some cases where you see some pink. Looking at maybe just north up towards Sharps Chapel. The pink areas would be possible hail that may be occurring now at this point. Jellicoe has maybe had some, Speedwell. That's also part of the equation. The rainfall amounts have been intense. I don't doubt, if I take off this little presumed here, there's been some areas that have picked up a lot of rain. Looking back to the west, near Cookeville, they've had over a half inch. Some areas around Jellicoe, perhaps around a half inch around Middlesboro. So that part of the story, but not the story. The story would be the intense rain rate. In fact, you could go back and take a look. See here if we can go back to accumulation. Yeah, rainfall rates probably pretty intense. Some of these have been areas in pink, would suggest well over maybe 2 or 3 inches, if not mistaken. Let me go back and check this. Area around Sharps Chapel might even be coming down at 6 inches an hour. And he said that's preposterous because it's not going to stay over your town, but maybe a few more minutes, right? Maynardville, intense rain. Radar would suggest it's over 6 inches an hour. But thankfully, it's not going to be there an hour. It won't even be there for 15 more minutes. It's going to move on. The intensity, that is. But the pink areas from Middlesboro southward is where the most intense rain is Doppler indicated at this particular moment. There was the tornado warning. I've rewound this 15 minutes. You can see that was up toward Middlesboro. They had that a moment ago, but that has now been since expired. There is no more tornado warning at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the loop. It's making me loopy just looking at it. It was too much movement on my screen. But we look at Maynardville, and now we have this new one in the Tazewell area that lasts until 4 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Tazewell, new Tazewell, severe thunderstorm warning, gusts of wind up to 60 miles an hour, and the belief is that you could also have some hail. Let me go back and check this latest update for them. Our friends until 4 a.m. So yes, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. This includes all of Claiborne County, Hancock County, northeastern Union, northern Granger, southwestern Lee until 4 a.m. I think Jimmy was watching us from Lee County. But the hail damage to vehicles is expected. We already saw some of that near Sharps Chapel in pink. Expect wind damage, they say, to roofs, siding, and trees. So if you're in Sneedville, you're in Jonesville, I'm not recommending at all that you need to be in a safe space. I'm simply saying now is the time to get away from windows. And if you can go back to bed, so be it. But just know that you're going to have some very strong winds, probably until 4 o'clock. This is the severe thunderstorm warning as it reads right now. It includes Tazewell, News Tazewell, and Sneedville, Hancock County, till 4 a.m. And this storm is moving east at 35. So they said it was located about 9 miles northwest of Maynardville. But Maynardville's getting its own warning. It has its own storm to deal with. This is the one I'm talking about, towards Sneedville. Tazewell needs to be prepared. And this one is moving, as I mentioned, 35. We'll take a look here. I'll track a little track here again. We'll move another line in here. It's now approaching Tazewell. This is moving to the east at 35. So that would include Treadway, just north of Bean Station, potentially down the road. Move this over a little bit. And you can see that it's going to be in the Little Creek area probably by 3:15. New Tazewell, 3:16. That's what we want, right? Tazewell, 3:18. So New Tazewell, the worst of this storm may be overhead in the next 3 minutes. And Tazewell proper in the next 5 minutes, 3:18. So those are the communities that are likely to be impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning till 4. So Forge Ridge, Bacchus, Tazewell, Beech Grove, all under a severe thunderstorm warning till 4. Good morning to you watching from New Tazewell, edge of Sharps Chapel. Pretty ugly. Yeah, I imagine it would be. Dwayne, thank you for your update as I'm looking at some of the comments that might be coming in. And again, I'm juggling multiple computers. I figured there's no need for me to be on screen right now because I'm pretty sleepy looking. I'm pretty tired as you are, but in a 3:15, 3:14 time frame on a Memorial Day. Not how one would choose to spend it, but because you guys are watching, and there's quite a few of you, surprisingly. Was it 51 people watching right now? There's somebody that can't sleep like me, and that's what I'm seeing. And I now see a newly issued tornado warning. Do you see that now? It just flashed on the screen. We got a tornado warning in Claiborne County. This includes Tazewell. This includes New Tazewell. Not a good sign here. I'm watching this very closely. I'm looking at Dwayne Massengill. He's put out a comment that he's watching. It's pretty ugly. So ugly, in fact, Dwayne, that they just issued you a new tornado warning. The first warning that's tornado in Tennessee, as I can keep score of, since this began this morning. We had one in southeast Kentucky, which prompted me to go on live. But you can clearly see now Sneedville, our friends in Hancock County, you are under a tornado warning for the next 45 minutes. This again issued by the National Weather Service in Morristown. You say, well, I thought it was Jackson. Well, it's true, but there's a state line here. Here's Morristown. The National Weather Service here does work in coordination, as they all do, with the other National Weather Service. That's in Jackson, Kentucky. So this one has been determined by our friends in Morristown that this needs to be a tornado warning. So that's what we have. If you're in Tazewell, if you're Dwayne, if you have a safe space, an interior room, now would be the time to get there. I'm going to give you the latest update from the Weather Services. They've been looking at this very closely as well. But we clearly have a new tornado warning just moments ago that was now flashing for the Tazewell area. So please, if you're in Tazewell or New Tazewell, it is time to get into safe space because we may have a tornado on the ground, but we don't know for sure. At 3:13, they say, they had a severe thunderstorm. Well, we knew that. But this severe thunderstorm, they said, is capable of producing a tornado. And it was located over New Tazewell, or just 12 miles southeast of Middlesboro. It's moving northeast at 40. So if this storm is moving northeast at 40, let's do a little track in here, right about this point. We're going to move it in the direction of Sneedville. And if it's going 40, it's right here. That puts it in the direction of Jonesville, if it makes it that far at this time. So these are the towns that really need to hunker down. That means an interior basement preferred. Not everybody has a basement, but if you're in Oak Grove, 322. If you're around Gibson Hall, 323. If you're around Cave Spring, it's affecting you right now. Murphy Mill right now, but Mason Springs, 318. Poplar Grove, 319. We have a very strong, well, not strong, it's a severe. We have a strong storm. We have a severe thunderstorm that's now morphed into a tornado warning simply because it's capable of producing a tornado, and it'd be very important for you to just let this pass. But this is going to go for a while. because last I checked, it's just 3:17 in the morning. So you have until 4 a.m. for this to continue to affect this area here. And this includes Sneedville. There's Sneedville, flashing in the red polygon. This is mainly south of 58. But if you're maybe driving on the road or know somebody who's driving on the road very early in the morning, they need to be aware that they're under tornado warning until 4 o'clock. This includes Ritchie, 325, Red Hill, 325, Hopewell at 326. Looking at some comments, well, that escalated quickly, says Justin Long. It sure did. It sure did. And again, sometimes it can be one of those situations where you know you've got the severe thunderstorm, but is it getting weaker or stronger? And I can take a look at some of the Barron vectors, some of the Barron tracks here momentarily to get a BTI score. See if yep, there's a couple in here. See what they have. That BTI is 7. So yeah, this has me concerned. When you have a BTI here, a 7, 8, or 9, it's on a scale of 0 to 10. The likelihood that this is in fact a tornado is very, very high. Barron doesn't issue a 7, 8, or 9 willy-nilly. They typically have a skill score of about 97 to 98%. So if there's a 7 on here, this is definitely the real deal, potentially. I'm not saying for sure, but the likelihood is very high. And I think probably because these, much like a wave at the beach, a wave at the ocean either gets weaker or smaller. It's a wave that's crashing or cresting. Some of these storms get stronger over with each progressive sweep. So every time we get a new sweep of information, we could have a BTI that goes from a 3 to a 7. So escalation is very important to watch, and that's what the Weather Service is seeing. Again, I don't want to overthink it, but just know if you're around Bacchus or Tazewell, New Tazewell, you really need to be in your safe space right now. That's my recommendation. The BTI here is a 7. I haven't seen a 7 since last. I mean, I didn't even see one yesterday. I saw 4s. I saw some 3s, 2.8s, but this is a 7. So there's some more substantial evidence that this has grown into what could become a possible tornado that's moving on the surface here. Let me look at the storm relative velocity here. Turn off some of the information that's maybe cluttering the map, including my track here. But the tornado warning here, where you have, where's Morristown here? Up down here. So we have the radar here. So we'll circle Morristown. The reason this is important is because the radar that we're looking at is in fact the radar here. And this is actually moving toward Morristown in green. Wind speeds here are really off the chart, right? 57. Further south, we've got 58, 72. Speedwell, perhaps 69. These are very strong winds. Whether or not they are tornadic, they're going to do damage. That's just the nature of the beast here. But some of this wind, as you can see here, as I clear this off from the telestrator, you got this heading toward and away, basically, toward and away from the radar site. So here's Morristown. The red areas would suggest away, the green areas would be toward, and you're getting some circulation potentially. This little couplet here is the biggest concern. So it's moving potentially. If we look at the storm relative here, this is what we've been looking at. Shear shows it's gotten a lot stronger. So the rotation detectors, they take my telestrator off, would put it right between Tazewell and Gibson. Some of the Burgundy areas would be very strong shear at this moment, and it's all headed toward the east. The last 15 minutes, last I checked, wasn't that strong. In fact, 15 minutes ago, it looked like this. It just kind of maybe actually picked up a bit just as it passed Duo and past Clouds, Combs, and New Tazewell. So this is really what the Weather Service is probably focusing on, and better be safe than sorry. Just stay in your safe space. If you're in Gibson Hill, if you're in Murphy Mill, if you're around Ritchie, Tazewell itself, we'd be interested to know once the daylight arrives how things fared. Because again, whether or not it's a tornado or not, it's still going to do some damage with those winds, no doubt. Checking them back with let's go back to the swath here and see if we can see. Yeah, this is historically where all this energy is. You can clearly see there's some real concerns here, and that's why the National Weather Service decided to issue this tornado warning. To his point, things have just popped up pretty quickly and escalated rather rapidly. I'm looking at the time here. It's 3:22. If you're just joining us, I don't want to leave out Knoxville. Knoxville proper, Fountain City getting some very heavy rain now associated with a severe thunderstorm warning. We have the flashing tornado warning for Tazewell. It includes Sneedville. Sneedville's waiting patiently for this storm. It's moving moving northeast at 40. The one that's toward Tazewell is moving northeast at 40. And that could produce quarter-size hail as well. But it's getting a little noisier perhaps for you if you're in Oak Ridge, Hardin Valley, or Farragut. Those areas are not under the warned areas. Maybe a strong thunderstorm rolling through Oak Ridge, Hardin Valley, Farragut, but that is on the edge of the screen here at the bottom. What's now moving into Fountain City would be considered a severe thunderstorm, and that has winds up to 60 miles an hour potentially. This one expires at 3:45. So just to give you a bird's eye view, we have a trail of more rain that moves down towards Spring City, Harriman. This is the bigger picture. And now that it's about 3:23, just wanted to give you some perspective. Couple of showers east of Maryville, north of Gatlinburg, but nothing of severe nature. What is the biggest concern right now is the flashing red polygon, which is the tornado warning for Hancock, Claiborne County till 4. Checking in, Debbie Long Shrewsbury says it's storming in Halls. I would imagine so. Halls has been getting some rain, as is Fountain City, and this would all be associated with the severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for the next 20 minutes, 22 minutes. Watching this closely with the Weather Service as well. Paulette, Maynardville, Luttrell, all under the severe thunderstorm warning here. Moving into the Buffalo Springs area. Going to be moving into Rutledge here momentarily, but Maynardville getting hard hit. He mentioned that there were some power outages, and I would imagine that will continue to grow. Right now, we're still watching the radar, reflectivity. We've been looking at some velocity, which has really been very, very active here. Look at the colors. When you see bright, almost a whitish green area, it's usually going to see some winds that have historically been closing in on 70, 75. And this may have been more recently what we're now seeing around the Tazewell area, 55 miles an hour, maybe stronger. Clearly, you don't need much. Any other variables other than that to know that that's going to impact power across the board. And the biggest concern is, again, the tornado that's rolling through parts of Claiborne County. We don't have confirmation, but we've seen some strong evidence when we had that BTI score of a 7. Curious to see if we got some new information here. Now, this has gone to 7.5. So my confidence, because I know that Barron, being radar experts, they've got a very good track record. Tazewell, again, just want to emphasize, if you're in Tazewell, please play along with this and just humor me. It's best to stay in a safe space for the next few minutes to pass us through Tazewell, because this is an area that may very well be at ground zero for those winds. This is a 7.5 now. That's gone up a half a tick from 7.0 to 7.5. Anything that's 7, 8, or 9, it's really a good time to be in your basement. Really a good time to be in your interior room, a bathroom, a closet, on the ground level floor, mind you. If you're in an apartment complex or you're in a second-story house, best to get down at a lower level till this passes. You can see the towns on the screen here. That would be Murphy Mill at 3:30. May, in fact, impact Mason Springs here at 3:30. Gibson at Hall at 3:35, and Ritchie at 3:35. So now we have a brand new warning. It looks like they've just moved it further south. This now includes areas, looks like down toward Duck Creek, Treadway. Yep, we have a brand new warning. We have a brand new tornado warning that now extends south of Tazewell and just around Treadway. So there's some other spots that are growing. This is all part of the same storm system, moving about east now at 43 miles an hour with a BTI of 7.5. So clearly the parameters of this storm are going up, not down. And I just want to caution those who are in the path. Anything, if your town is listed or seen on this particular screen, I'm talking Tazewell, talking Riley, talking Big Creek, Bald Point, Ramsey, Springdale, really best to be in an interior room for this to pass. It would make a lot more sense to let this pass than to second guess it and say, well, I think I can just go back to bed and not pay attention to it. This is one of those storms that you want to get out of bed for and get into your interior room until it passes. I see Justin Long says, yikes. Let me give you the latest information from the Weather Service, because, again, I'm just refreshing my app and getting the information, but we just saw it flash with a new warning, as it's now including Treadway. We've got 2 tornado warnings active at this time of morning, this time of night, depending on your frame of reference. It can also play a role. This goes to 4:15, by the way. 4:15, that's on the screen. We got Hancock until 4:15. The latest update came down at 3:25, so that was 2 minutes ago. That's pretty recent. 2 minutes ago, the National Weather Service has expanded the tornado warning to include southeastern Claiborne County, northwestern Hawkins County, all of Hancock County, north central Granger, southeastern Lee County, Virginia, and southwestern Scott County, Virginia, till 4:15. They believe severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and I've got strong evidence with a BTI of 7.5. This was located near Tazewell, or 10 miles north of Rutledge, another way to view it, but it's moving northeast at 45. So that's pretty consistent with the Barron track, because that puts us east at 43. So if it's moving east-northeast at 43, 45, that's within 2 miles an hour. Statistically, I'd say it's pretty close. And so that would put these towns that are in harm's way on the screen here. So that would include Mason Springs. It would include Murphy Mill. And you can see it's now updating. Hearst Mill, 331. Mason Springs, 331. And Springdale at 331. So some of these towns may not be super populated. It may not be a big population center, but everybody matters. I want everybody to know that this storm means business. We're getting new updates here to notice what happened with the latest track from Barron. It went from 7.5 to 4.3. That doesn't mean you let your guard down. It just says that, hey, with each passing volume scan, with each passing sweep of the radar, we're getting new intel. This storm is moving east at 43. It's got hail, maybe 10% chance, but it's not as strong, this particular sweep, than it was maybe a moment ago. But either way, we want to acknowledge the fact that we have a tornado warning, 2 of them flashing now on the screen. That's of great concern. Anyone that's in the path of this storm certainly needs to be in their interior safe space until we get to the 4:15 time frame. That's 45 minutes from now. I mean, when you're talking about Kyles Ford, talking about Treadway, the areas here that we're watching most closely would be where this green and red areas meet, right? So we could potentially be seeing a possible tornado, but certainly maybe historically in the last few minutes where one may have actually been ramped up here. So this is something we're watching, and as I am as sleepy as you are, it's most important that you heed the warnings if you are in fact in the crosshairs. Amy says lots of lightning, hard rain, and lots of wind. Thank you, Amy. I'm not sure. Oh, she's in Gibbs. Okay, getting rocked, she says, in Gibbs. Felicia says, what about Maynardville? Maynardville probably getting hard hit here at this time as well as far as the rain and wind. Maynardville has been under a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45. So you have another 15 more minutes in Maynardville for a severe thunderstorm warning. Clearly you can see what's flashing. The largest and the loudest would be the warnings that are a tornado. That would be Hancock County, Claiborne County till 4:15. So you have 2 distinct boxes here. One was to expire at 4. The other one was to expire at 4:15. But this is all kind of just materialized now. We also have a new severe thunderstorm warning that includes Morristown and Jefferson City. This will be running till 4:15 as well. We've now covered the areas pretty extensively. The tornado warnings, I'm not going to ignore it, but I want to just expand the view to show you there's other storms now moving into the heart of the valley. Knoxville proper is under a severe thunderstorm warning till 3:45 with possible 60-mile-an-hour gusts. Rain and storms from Spring City to Harriman to Loudon are strong, but they're not considered severe. So that's why I often will say we've got strong to severe storms. Doesn't mean all of them are producing the same type of wind field, but the rain is coming down in buckets. That I can assure you here between Spring City, Harriman, Loudon, and approaching Maryville. Those are strong thunderstorms, but the severe ones are the ones now going to be moving into Dandridge, Kodak, Jefferson City, and Morristown because they were newly added here just a moment ago. Let me give you that latest one for Morristown. This was a severe thunderstorm issuance, came out at 3:28. So that was 3 minutes ago. The Jefferson City, the Dandridge severe thunderstorm warning was issued 3 minutes ago. This runs till 4:15. So there's Jeff City. You can see that here. Just to the north of you, we've got tornado warnings. But the ones that include Jefferson County, northwestern Cock, northern Sevier, Granger County, Hamlin County, and east central Knox County, and southwestern Hawkins will run until 4:15. This one's moving east at 55, right? So while you have the potential for a tornado between Tazewell and Sneedville here in the next few minutes. You've got stronger movement here from the storms approaching Jefferson City. It's picked up speed. A lot of these were moving at 40. Now this one's moving at 55. So if you do a little track here from the city of Knoxville eastward, moving to the east at 55 miles per hour, that would put it way over here, right? This would include, I move this onto this side of the screen, this would include Stony Point, 334, Patterson Hills, 334, Westlake Estates, 34, and Boggs at 334. Potential storm there, Riverdale at 335. This has winds of 60 miles an hour, they believe, with quarter-size hail. So if you're in Jefferson City, you're in Kodak, it's time to step up to the plate. Just get away from windows and make sure that you hunker down. It doesn't mean you have to be in your safe space because you're not flashing red like your neighbors from Tazewell to Sneedville, but it's still a storm that's going to potentially knock out some power, could cause some disruptions, obviously, as it's raining very hard right now in Knoxville proper. That's where we see things right now at the moment. As I'm looking at downtown Knoxville, you can see it really covers, goodness, it includes the parts of the city of Knoxville, but it does not include Mechanicsville. It doesn't include Marble City. You say, what part are you talking about? Talking about South Gay Street, talking maybe Market Square is under the severe thunderstorm warning, but Mechanicsville, Lonsdale's not. You say, well, that's weird. Yeah, I know. They had to draw the box somewhere. So the box includes downtown Knoxville, but not Lonsdale, Mechanicsville, or Marble City. Areas there may be dealing with a strong thunderstorm or two, but it does include Park City, Caswell, and also Chehowee Hills, all under the severe thunderstorm warning there until 3:45, about 11 more minutes there. And the new one that was issued just a few moments ago that includes Dandridge, Jefferson City, Rutledge, that runs until 4:15. So hopefully that gives you perspective. And again, home view, we still have technically, knock on wood, we still have a tornado watch, Blount County, Knox County till 6. It may not go the distance to 6. It may only last until when these are likely to expire, which is 4:15. So probably another 45 minutes, maybe a little less than 40 minutes or so, perhaps, before it gets closer to Newport here in a few minutes. Again, what we're looking at, I know there's some showers ahead to the west of Newport, but some areas in Cook County are going to be impacted by what's here to the west of you. We'll be keeping an eye on that as too. I'm looking at some of the notes. Shannon says, how long will it be before it's out of the area, David? Most likely, again, I'm just looking at the expiration times. Shannon, it's a great question. 4:15, so you're probably looking at another 45 minutes. Clearly, the tornado warnings are going to last till 4:15 potentially as it heads towards Kyles Ford or Treadway. But if you're anywhere between Tazewell and Sneedville, beautiful Hancock County. I can't tell you how. When I took my trip up there for a Tennessee Spotlight that I did, I was just amazed how beautiful and lush and green it was. It's a great area. Home to Morgan Wallen, right? If you're a country music fan, Sneedville is a great town just to tour and to see. Everybody so everybody's kin here. They told me so. I said everybody knows everybody, and it's one of those cool towns in America that just it's awesome, beautiful place. If you haven't been up to Hancock County, but they're dealing with a tornado warning, and in this area, they need to be in a place that's safe, away from windows. Basement would be preferred for the next 45 minutes or 40 minutes until it passes. Clearly, we're going to dive in here a little bit closer here to see what's going on. I want to give you an update. This is the area. Now, I know if you're in downtown Sneedville, you might say, well, I don't have anything yet. And that's okay. Kyles Ford doesn't have anything showing up in terms of reflectivity. The storm in this is now, looks like the worst of it's passed through Tazewell. Clearly, on this side of the screen, Tazewell right here, pretty much to the west of where this storm is. This storm is right here on the edge of Big Creek and Bald Point. So this is the area where this storm, if there is a tornado, definitely there's a severe thunderstorm warning here. There's a severe thunderstorm here, but the question is it capable of producing a tornado? It is. So that's why the Weather Service has got not one but two flashing red areas that you need to be careful. Wait for this to pass. But Luther, just north of Treadway, looks like Treadway proper is outside of that box. But Friendship, Luther, Sneedville, Vardy, Sunnyside, and Big Creek, Bald Point, all inside this tornado warning till 4:15. So if you're in this area, Just please be mindful. I'm going to see if they've given us an update. Last I checked, it was moving at 40 miles an hour. And the latest update from this might have now come in from the Weather Service. Yes, at 3:35, 2 minutes ago. How about that? That's convenient. Tornado warning from the National Weather Service. Updates that till 4:15, east central Claiborne, northwestern Hawkins, all of Hancock County, north central Granger, and southeastern Lee, southwestern Scott counties in Virginia are under a tornado warning. They believe this is still a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. This was located 7 miles southwest of Sneedville. I can pull out my little measurement tool and see that here's Sneedville, right? And they're saying it's 7 miles southwest, so that would be right in here. Yep, that's it. That's the concern, right in there. So that would be around Lawson Mill. So they believe if there is a tornado, it's 7 miles southwest of Sneedville and it's moving east at 45. So if you're in the Lawson Mill area, please get into a safe space. If you're in Duck Creek and Luther, probably a good idea for you to also be in a safe space until this passes, because this is, again, a tornado warning that has just been updated. They issued this latest update at 3:35, which is now 3 minutes ago. They said the weather hazard, still a tornado, and it's still quarter-size hail, and this was all indicated, radar-indicated rotation. The impact could be flying debris, which is dangerous to those that are caught without shelter. If you're in a mobile home, we haven't really talked about that, or an RV. If you're in an RV or a mobile home and you're in Duck Creek or Luther, this is the time to get to a substantial structure. If you're in Sneedville and a mobile home, or if you're in Sneedville and an RV, something, even a manufactured home that's not that sturdy, you really owe it to yourself, for you and your family, to seek shelter that's in a substantial structure until this passes. I know it's 3:39, it's the middle of the morning, but if it has to do with the safety of your family, I would think that would be most important to you, as it is for me, with my family and your family. Just know that you may be in the crosshairs of a possible tornado. What we're looking at is just the reflectivity. I'm going to go back into the nuts and bolts of this and look at some of the velocity here, some of the winds that we've seen historically on this in the last few minutes. Let's pull this back down here. Would suggest that it's been closing in, maybe back here to the west 58, Gibson Hall, maybe not as strong here, but it's increasing. Kearney Valley, Sneedville, maybe not that strong yet. The wind's hardly moving. Now, I know that's a real tough sell if it's running at 2 miles an hour, 17 around Ramsey, but these winds may pick up in the next few minutes as they did just a few minutes ago. So this is the velocity, the potential winds, momentum transfer that might be coming down to the surface at this moment. So we'll be watching that. Let's go back to the storm relative velocity, maybe see if we can see. They believe this was around Lawson Mill, right? So that may line up with where the shear is, and that does, right? If I were to do some, you got some strong shear here in green, and especially the Burgundy areas just south of Lawson Mill, where that severe thunderstorm could be capable of producing a tornado as it approaches Luther, as it approaches Duck Creek, and just north of Treadway. That's the warned area at the moment. The swath has been pretty strong. This is where it's been historically. Last 15 minutes, you see all this energy just funneling from essentially Tazewell, Speedwell, Tazewell, now into the Sneedville, Treadway area. But I've circled the area that the Weather Service was focusing on. That was about 7 miles southwest of Sneedville. So that's where things stand at this moment. Let me go ahead and stop this particular spot. Move back in. Any hail that might be popping up. Oh, we've got hail. Look at that. Hail tracker. Don't you love that? 15 minutes ago, this just kind of all populated in. If we go back maybe 30 minutes and look at some of the hail, this popped in here maybe even an hour ago, if that shows up. Yep, you can see the trail of the hail. The hail tracker in pink shows it moving from Speedwell to Sharps Chapel, just around Tazewell. So it's possible that you're getting some hail from this system too, and it looks like it's now populating between Rutledge and Bean Station. That would be one other aspect or weather issue or hazard that some of us may be working through this morning. But clearly these winds, whether you're in a tornado warning or not, there's 70, there's 45. The winds from this system, the skies are angry, even at 3:42 in the morning, which reminds me we had some severe thunderstorm warnings that were to expire, I believe, at 3:45. am I right? Yeah, parts of Knox County, certainly northeast of the city, is to expire in 3 minutes. So we'll have to see if that one goes away. What will remain is the one that includes Jefferson City and Morristown. That goes till 4:15. And our tornado warning, coincidentally, is going till 4:15. So we go back to the radar. We go back to the home view. Just kind of recap and realign or reassess where things are. Heavy rains now affecting Loudoun County, or Loudoun, Illinois City, Loudoun down I-75, but that's considered a strong storm. It is not listed as severe. This is the strong area. Maryville's getting pounded with heavy rain, but this is not considered severe at this point. This is just nuisance rain, maybe disruptive from your sleep rain, but this is not severe, and that's a good sign. But where we do have the worst of the weather is until about 4:15 around Newmarket. So if you're in Newmarket, you're under severe thunderstorm warning till 4:15. And I mentioned Kodak, Morristown, and Jefferson City, and Dandridge. So that's the other spot we're watching, in addition to the tornado warning to the north. A couple of notes from Lana Johnson says, we need coffee. I agree. Virtual cup of coffee. Thank you, Lana. Very much appreciate your support. Diane Ladyhawk says, oh my goodness, I can't believe how many of you are awake. I didn't have to wake you up. Mother Nature probably did it all by itself. Just rain here, no wind or thunder, says Renee Stone. Glad to have Renee on here as well. But if you're in the Jefferson City area, take comfort that you're not under the tornado warning. If there is a tornado, and we saw a pretty impressive BTI score of 7.5, I'll be interested to see if that verifies. Because I said anything that's a 7, 8, or 9, this rose up to 7.5. There is a skill score that's like an evaluation score of 97 to 98%. That Barron's radar technology, when they issue those things of 7, 8, or 9, there's typically a tornado that has reached the surface. So we won't know until there's a survey done. And the Morristown folks, the meteorologists at the National Weather Service in Morristown, may not even get out there today. Being a holiday, they might get out there tomorrow, but we'll wait and see what they... It's not that far from where they are, because Morristown to Tazewell is not that far of a distance, but given the holiday, we'll wait and see how that's assessed. Because again, when they issue tornado warnings, if they believe a tornado did in fact reach the surface, they will follow up, as they do so well, and evaluate it for us. But by the way, the Jefferson County, this runs till 4:15. Kodak is under the warning. That would be where Lana Johnson's watching us. Glad to have her on here. She's needing some Weigel's coffee, I imagine. Angela says, I'm in a camper. So yeah, I'm staying up. Angela, very nice that you would admit that and appreciate that. Not to pick on you, because I want everybody who are in campers, RVs, or mobile homes, or manufactured homes, anything that's not sturdy, right? You really need to owe it to yourself if you're under a tornado warning. I'm not saying you are, Angela, but if you know somebody in Hancock County that lives in a mobile home, invite them over till this storm passes. As disruptive as that is, it would be even worse if we had, property damage or flying debris. It's kind of late now in the game if you're in Sneedville, because this storm is pretty much overhead. But if you're in Kyles Ford, you still have a few more minutes. If you're in Fisher Creek, you still got a few more minutes to figure that out. So this area, Fisher Creek, Midway, RVs are not a safe place to be in a camper when you have a tornado warning overhead. Kyles Ford, you still got a few minutes. But if you're in Van, if you're in Sneedville, you're in Duck Creek, it's pretty much wherever it is, it's overhead right now. You're going to have to ride this out, probably is the best way to describe it. We've been giving advance warning, as so many others on the broadcast, I'm sure, are as well. We just want you to be prepared for these storms where they are. Right now, they're centered around Sneedville at this point. So we've got a severe thunderstorm warning to the south toward Bean Station. Bean Station's under the warning in Granger till 4:15. But that's also the same expiration time for Luther and Sneedville for their tornado warning. That lasts until 4:15. So I think that might have answered Shannon Brotherton's question, how much longer? I would give it another half hour, because it's now 3:46. Ruby says she's watching. Good to have you, Ruby, here. Lana Johnson says lots of rain now and heavy rain in the Kodak area. And we're in St. Clair, says Rusty. Rusty, thank you for watching. This storm, again, did elevate quickly, but in the same manner, just as quickly as some of these storms can rise quickly, they can, much like a wave at the ocean, it can crest and then it can crash. Some of the waves that crash on the shore can be tough, but some of them come in pretty wimpy. Obviously, this might have come in pretty weak, and then it just got a little stronger as it kicked into the Tazewell area. Because this was back when I first came back on this morning. I don't even lost track of how long that was ago, but minutes ago, back when it was back north of Jellicoe, we had a tornado warning. It's now moved all the way from Middlesboro and Pineville. Now it's back out of the Tazewell area and centered around Sneedville at this moment. So just know that they did allow the severe thunderstorm warning in Knoxville. It's gone. That expired at 3:45. So the only one that we have now here in Knox County is areas around Mascot till 4:15. Includes Kodak, where Lana is. She's getting some heavy rain, she said. Joseph says Greenback here. Greenback's getting some strong thunderstorms from Maryville, Loudon. But again, I know that there's naturally an inclination. What about me? What about me? Well, just so you know, all this here is just strong thunderstorms. And I can tell you the thunder's there, quite a bit of it. Over 1,200 lightning strikes here. Let me turn this off. This part here. So you got the lightning strike box at the bottom here. That's 1,241 strikes on this image in the last few minutes. And this is, again, strong thunderstorms that are now moving through Blount County, Loudoun County, back toward Decatur, Spring City. But it's not the severe storms that you're getting further north. Clearly, there are some winds associated with these storms that are flashing that are causing the Weather Service to issue warnings here and not here. Well, why are they getting it, but we're getting the rain? Everyone's getting the rain. I'm not here to dispute that. But when you look at the velocity itself, let's take another look at that here. I click on here, where some of the winds have been stronger have been in these bright green areas. The winds are not as strong down here where the rain is coming down, right? So we have some strong winds, maybe in some parts 46. I'm not saying here's 17, but you go up here and they've been closer to 57. They've been a lot stronger in some areas, and that's why the Weather Service has called what they needed to call. They believe this one in Granger County is potentially severe. And just want you to be prepared with a 60-mile-an-hour gust potential. That's the way things are playing out at the moment. Getting back to some of your comments. I'm looking at Facebook. I haven't checked YouTube. It's time to check YouTube. Anybody on YouTube watching, I'd like to say good morning to you. A lot of us haven't had our coffee. A lot of us are like, what time is it anyway? Anyway, Brian Stotler has been on here, as has Michael Hawk on YouTube. Is this storm going to hit Morristown? I think so. I think you're getting Morristown rain right now. Severe thunderstorm in effect, Michael. But good news is it's not a tornado warning. Sorry, he just woke up. Michael Hawk did. Chris Reed says power went out twice in Bob Gray and Middlebrook. Thank you, Chris, for reminding me. I have not, I repeat, in this particular round 3 of my live stream since yesterday, I've not looked at power outages here yet. But let's do that. As it's now 3:50. There's no harm in doing that. Oops, I'm going to go back here. Let's go back onto this screen here. I wanted to show you the multiple sources. Did we get to that? Multiple sources. That's the other aspect that we talk about it all the time, but this is a great example. Nobody likes a tornado warning while they're asleep, but sometimes we put the do not disturb on our phones and we don't know or hear what's going on. So if you haven't downloaded the free Captain Accurate Weather app, I hope you'll do so. We also, and of course the app is free, but you actually have to spend money, it's an investment, to have a NOAA weather radio. And the value of this is that if you get wind damage to a cell phone tower, it's conceivable that you might not get the app updates if the cell phone towers are compromised. So that's why they're both excellent to have. Another source could be what was Twitter. Now it's X. X, formerly Twitter. You could follow the National Weather Service on X, or formerly Twitter. You can get great updates there too. So there are other ways you can get the information, or you can watch someone like me walk you through it. You can also go through the radar on the app itself. You can do a 2-hour radar, which we'll look at here momentarily. I don't think this is going to be an issue 2 hours from now, because that would be closer to 6 a.m. But we do have some very heavy rain. I'm not going to mislead you. It's coming down in buckets in Maryville. It's coming down in buckets in Loudon. And all up and down I-75 south of Lenore City, there's some pockets of very heavy rain. But the tornado warning that we've been looking at for what seems like for a long period of time now has moved out of the Pineville, Middlesboro area. It's left Tazewell, New Tazewell, and now it's centered potentially over Sneedville. So Sneedville is in the crosshairs just north of Treadway. Kyles Ford is next. Kyles Ford, you're on the doorstep of this, but this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to take a look real quickly at the power outages. Have we had any power loss in the county? And the answer is yes, no doubt. turn all this off. It's not that it's disappeared, it's just that it's hard to see. And look at that. Isn't that interesting? If you're a green shaded county, then there's a good chance you have at least 5,000 people without power. And Knox County now has 8,000 power outages. Somebody said that Maynardville lost power. There's 800 households without power there. Granger County, 100 people. Anderson County, 300. 800 there in Scott County. Fentress County, 1,000. Look at the other green county. That's Pulaski County, Somerset, Kentucky, 7,000. Areas around Bowling Green, 7,000, 5,500. But there are power outages, no doubt, just from these winds. And like I said, it's real snazzy to say, oh, we got a tornado warning. Doesn't mean a tornado occurred, but it's certainly on the table. I can tell you this, and I'll go back and look at my other sources here. I'm looking at the Storm Prediction Center. It looks like so far, here on the that was yesterday, 26th. Hard to know what day it is. Yet yesterday, the 26th of May, we had 15 tornadoes in the country. Most of them were in places like Arkansas, Missouri, southern Illinois, and lots of wind damage reports. Over 685 reports of damaging wind all across Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee. So we had some wind damage yesterday, but even though we had a tornado warning for Corbin and Barberville around 1:45 yesterday afternoon, but as of now, that was not declared an actual tornado. But the wind damage and the parameters were there. So sometimes they will issue these warnings, and the end result are power outages, right? We've got 400 here, but Knox County, Claiborne County has had 500 people without power. Some areas, 2,000 around Knox County, Kentucky. Laurel County, about 1,500, and so it goes. So this is a situation where if you've lost power, you're not alone, and it will continue to have its impact as this storm continues to work its way for the next couple of minutes. It's now 3:54. My suspicion is I will be able to sign off here probably by 4:15 unless something else jumps off the screen. But right now, I know where I want to be at 4:16 is back on the pillow, right? Just like you. Many of you will want to go back to sleep as soon as you can. But clearly, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that includes Hawkins County. That's Rogersville, now moving into the Tri-City areas. And what's also noteworthy, as some of the heavier rains really focused around Maryville, I got to tell you what, the rainfall amounts, right? When we look at rainfall rates, where's my rainfall rates? Here it is. So you can see there's some really heavy rain right now in pink around Maryville, Loudoun, Kodak. The amount of rain that's coming down, this is rainfall rate. Like when we say it's raining cats and dogs, it's raining like cats and dogs in these pink areas where it might exceed 3 or 4 inches or more. But thankfully, it's not staying put because I'm going to do an hour loop. Tell me how long it stays in any one spot. It just keeps on moving, right? It didn't stick around. It didn't stick around in Knox County very long, and now it's just about quickly trying to get out of Sweetwater and trying to move out of Loudoun and Maryville as far as the rainfall rates. Back to this tornado warning. Let's give you an update. Clearly, we have a new update. Our boxes have changed. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County till 4:15. Dandridge, Jefferson City, Morristown, Hamlin County for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour gusts. The new one that was issued for Rogersville till 4:30, and the one that's into the Sneedville area for the tornado warning until 4 o'clock. Now you can see, it doesn't take a trained eye to know that if you're in this area right in here, west of Sneedville, the worst is over for you. What we're looking at is over Kyles Ford, right in here. The question is, are they going to extend this further? And we'll know in 4 minutes, because Kyles Ford, while the reflectivity, the storm is centered over you, potentially that could be where there could still be possible rotation. Again, don't know for sure. We don't always have absolute information, but from what we can tell from the radar, the center of this storm appears to be right around Kyles Ford, and the worst of it may very well be leaving Sneedville. It's not all clear yet, Sneedville. Give yourself another 4 more minutes, but we'll keep an eye on this tornado warning and let it play its course. This is a tornado warning till 4. Princess Thunder, what a great name. That was serious wind in Maryville, now heavy rain. Yes, definitely a strong storm. And again, it's maybe semantics, Princess, but again, when they talk about winds that are 45 or 50 or even 55 miles per hour for gusts, would be classified by the Weather Service as a strong storm. They'll issue oftentimes a special weather statement,
but they usually reserve severe thunderstorm warnings for things that are 60 or higher. And that's been the potential of what we're seeing in Rogersville, Treadway, Bean Station, and so on. Mandy Kilpatrick says, thank you. Good morning to you. I'm going to sleep like a baby once this is all over. How about you? Vince Babinski, good to see Vince. He's always on the road. He's a traveling man, but it's good to see Vince. Of course, husband of Diane Ladyhawk. Good to have him on there. And Mandy saying thank you. She said she's had lots of lightning and thunder. So thank you for all of you. Hoping that you stay safe. Now, it's interesting that we've had also a new little green box. Doesn't make the headlines quite like a tornado warning would. But there has now been a new aerial flood advisory for Claiborne County because of the torrential rain that has fallen. It's not a flash flood warning, but this would be the first step on the ladder. If you get a flood advisory, if it's really bad, they might upgrade it to a flash flood warning. But at this point, what they're issuing now is a flood advisory. So some urban areas or maybe some poor drainage areas could have some serious runoff in some of these areas in that green box. This would include Claiborne County, includes Arthur. It includes some of the areas that got hard hit by the tornado warning, potentially Bacchus and Combs, Tazewell, New Tazewell, under a flood advisory till 7 a.m. But as we look at this, we're about 2 minutes away from this tornado warning to expire. It's now leaving Sneedville, the worst of it. Big Creek, it's pretty much almost done for you, although rain might still linger. But the heavier rains are centered between Kyles Ford and Blackwater. That would be where this potential, at least the severe thunderstorm capable of tornado, would appear. This seems to be where the spot that would be of greatest concern to be in a safe space. Give it another minute because it's now 3:59. I'm going to hope that Canton and Big Springs right here, here's Canton, here's Big Springs, I'm hoping that those communities are not under a tornado warning. They are under a severe thunderstorm warning for gusts of up to 60, but it'll be interesting to see if they let this, the Weather Service in Morristown, if they let this expire on time in the next 60 seconds. Looking back at the bigger picture, as we keep an eye on that flashing red box, I'm hoping it goes away. Looks like we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning till 4:45 for Newport and Cocke County, Cosby, Greene County till 4:45, and that should be the last of it. Now, it's interesting. You notice they did not issue a severe thunderstorm warning south of Maryville or south of Gatlinburg, because Gatlinburg now getting some heavy rain. So is Sevierville. So is Pigeon Forge area. Certainly Townsend. Much of Sevier County getting hammered with heavy rain and wind, but not necessarily severe. As we can see, it's now 4 o'clock. Did we lose the box? I'm going to go back up here, see if it's going to disappear. And it might take maybe 20 seconds more to see if this disappears. But the tornado warning in Hancock County was set to expire at 4 o'clock. Question is, will they decide to keep it a little bit longer? That's the question. We'll see here. But I do want to point out, at least visually, the expansion has included what appears to be just around Johnson City, Greenville, and Newport for a severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45. Yep, that did disappear. So all is clear in that regard. If you're in an interior room in Hancock County, probably, I'd say it's definitely okay to come out. If you've been in the closet with no windows, you've been in the basement, you've been in a safe space, the Kyles Ford storm that's coming through might have 60-mile-an-hour gusts or stronger, potentially up to Pennington Gap, Fisher Creek, but it's not a tornado warning. So I'm just following the lead here that our friends at the National Weather Service in Morristown have deemed appropriate. We have now a severe thunderstorm warning here till 4:30. Rogersville, looks like Sneedville is still getting some rain, but the worst, I think, is over for Sneedville, as it's quieted down quite a bit in Tazewell. Not a whole lot going on appears in Rutledge, but the newer warning, I'm going to give you a track here and see if I can get the latest update from the Weather Service here. So we're looking at Greenville, right? So this area has a newly issued. This came down at 3:56 5 minutes ago. We were a little distracted 5 minutes ago because we were looking at the tornado warning further north. But severe thunderstorm warning till 4:45. This one that's new is for South Central Hawkins, Washington County, Cocke County, Greene County, and East Central Sevier County till 4:45. Unicoi County. Those are until 4:45. They believe a severe thunderstorm was located near Bean Station all the way to Sevierville. So if you're looking at Bean Station and you're looking at all the way to Sevierville, so this line There's Bean Station. I'm trying to zoom in enough to I can get Bean Station on my map. There it is. So basically, here's Bean Station at the top, right up here, and here's Sevierville. So everything in between here is the potential severe storm that's moving into the Greenville, Bybee, Newport, and presumably White Pine area at this hour. So this will last until 4:45. I don't feel like I'll have to stay on for that length of time because you can see that there's not much behind it other than some nuisance rains. But a lot of thunder can be found as we go back and look at the track. A lot of thunder and lightning, enough to wake you up for sure. About 1,193 lightning strikes at this image. Elaine Johnson Wilson says, thanks, David. Dwayne Massagill says, thanks, Captain, for keeping us informed and updated. Time for coffee. Absolutely. And hopefully, if you're no longer, as many of us are, no longer under any warning, it's back to bed and hopefully refreshed for the day ahead. Remembering what Memorial Day truly is about, remembering and honoring the fallen who've given up the ultimate sacrifice for sure. This is obviously not the way that you would want to start your Memorial Day itself at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, but it's what Mother Nature decided to dish out, and we just had to work our ways through it. Again, for those of you that are just joining me, I want to do, for those who are concerned about what's happening next, stay with me here. I am going to do a future radar because that will give us a better idea of where things are going to be 120 minutes from now. So 2 hours. You'll notice my banner just changed. I got to turn off the radar. And I'm even going to pull off the warnings here. But you can see this is over the last, let's see, keep this maybe, I know where I want to be. I'm going to go back to my market view here. So here we go. This is where we are now. Let's see where we're going to be 2 hours from now. So if you are going to put your head on the pillow, will things get better or worse? You tell me. Look where all this rain's going. It's seemingly coming up from the south and west. I'm looking at Etowah and Madisonville. Some areas may start to see some heavier rains, and Maryville could be included. So just when you think it's moving south, it may be more moving to the northeast here in the next 2 hours. So this rain may be intense. Maybe that's the big story going forward, is some locally heavy rain. But this is a future radar, one of the features that you can find on the app in addition to storm tracking. Because yes, you can storm track. All you have to do is tap on the vector on the app. It'll tell you where a storm will be in a number of minutes. But you can easily hit the cloud at the bottom. I call it the happy cloud. You just push it. It'll show you where it's been 2 hours ago. Then it'll stop, pause at where it is now, the radar, and then it will show you 2 hours into the future. And that's what you're looking at here. This is future radar. So even though the worst of the storms might be over in terms of tornadic potential, there's still a lot of rain that still has to come in, and that will also put us well into the top 10 list. But I believe we're already in the top 10 wettest Mays of all time. The month of May doesn't even end until the 31st, but today being the 27th of May, we've already had well over 7 inches of rain, and that puts us in the top 10, given the amount of rain we've had thus far. I think we were just shy of, maybe 300th of an inch. My premium members know I had given, I think it was 7.02. We needed 7.05. We needed 300ths of an inch more, and we would have been top 10 material. Right now, I think we were 11th as of last night. But either way, this I'm going to stop here, right in here. Let's see if I can stop it there. So that's 6:05. So if you're sleeping and you're able to sleep with some thunderstorms overhead, have at it. But if you're a light sleeper, you might still have some warnings that pop up on your phone. I don't want you to be surprised, so weather doesn't surprise you. But there could be more aerial flood advisories like we have around Tazewell that could easily expand in these areas. And when I say areas, I'm seeing a lot of red in here and a lot of red in here in the next 2 hours. So there could be some flooding concerns. That's what I'm trying to indicate here by showing you this, so that you know that there's still a lot of rain that could still come into play. Power outages, if we look at the county once again, we'll turn off the warned areas because we still have technically a tornado watch till 6. And that's something to watch closely as well. But Knox County has 8,000 power outages right now, 300 Anderson County, Union County 800, Claiborne County 500 people, 500 households without power, Campbell County 1,500, Scott County 100, Fentress County about 1,000, and it continues on as you look up into Kentucky. It's like 4,500 for Wayne County and Somerset up there in Pulaski County, 7,000 people without power. So clearly enough power outages to be disruptive. So while you might be able to go back to sleep, your your refrigerator and everything else might not be working if you're one of these unlucky few that have some power disruptions. That's just the way it goes, unfortunately. If we go back to the radar now, what time is it? 4:07. We have some heavy rain right now, and we look at the warned areas. We have one particular warning in Cobb County till 4:45. That also includes Greene County. Looks like one in the Chattanooga area down toward Cleveland. That's going till 5. But this is the area, again, they've got tornado warnings in the Huntsville area, right? And a lot of this energy is going to be moving, coming up from the north and moving to the north and east. So again, we are technically under a tornado watch until 6 a.m. Knox County. It's not saying that the energy that's in Huntsville makes it here, but some of the rain certainly may. And I want to be mindful that that could be what develops here in the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or 45 minutes. But clearly, the heavy rain that's in Madisonville and Maryville still coming down in buckets, but clearly a lot of material to take into account. The fact that it's so early in the morning, we're like, I need my coffee, I need to wake up. There's no doubt we all need to do that. It's just now 4:08 in the morning. And the tornado warning that was in Alabama, that's Jackson County, Alabama there. So really the only warnings we have remaining will go till 4:45 at this moment in our viewing area. That's Cobb County, Greene County, and the ones up toward Hawkins County, Sneedville, Hancock till 4:30 a.m. for the potential for some strong winds and some rain. But that would be the sum of it. Just checking in with you. Charles Groom says the fact that it's so early in the morning, I need my phone, Hamlin County, under a tornado watch till 6. Yep, that's just one of those things we're watching. It means that the conditions are favorable, Charles, so we'll watch that closely. The sound of the wind, says Diane, came before the rains here in East Maryville, was eerie, very eerie. Liza Rose says, hello from Maynardville. Do you have power, Liza? I heard somebody say earlier that he did not have power in Maynardville. As we already looked at, I think 800 people without power in Union County. I hope your power remains. And Tanya Turner says, thank you, David, for being up at all hours for us. My pleasure. It's just a passion of mine, the weather, and also keeping everybody safe. It's all I can do to keep everybody informed. And again, having the app in your hand, you've got information that where you could be notified long before I could tell you, because you get it in real time. You get real-time weather updates. And if you're not a fan of smartphone apps, I've got tutorials. I know there's some people, old and young, that may not. It's like I don't know how to navigate it. Well, I've got some great little short videos, about 7 in all, that you can watch the tutorials. Back when the updates, the app looked a little different when I did those tutorials, but they still, the main functionality of the app is still there, and you can actually learn where things are. How do I do storm tracking? It's all there. How do I access a 7-day forecast anywhere on the globe? I could teach you that too. All on the app tutorials. If you want to know what the 7-day forecast for London, England, or if you're going to Myrtle Beach this summer, you want a 7-day forecast for Disney World, I've got it all accessible on the app tutorials on the app. You can get that pretty quickly, very easily, if you want to learn. People love to learn. They hate to be taught. I'm not here to teach you. I just want you to learn some cool things that are on the app that might not necessarily be apparent. They're not always readily apparent, for sure. But we're looking at tornado watch for Knox County till 6. That's how I'm going to leave this. Just to recap that we have a heavy rain, and there may be more rain before the morning is through. Thank you so much for staying up with me, or in this case, waking up with me. But if you need to go back to bed, you have my permission, especially since many of us have now gotten out of the crosshairs of some of the worst weather. Have a good morning. I'll talk to you a little bit later today. Take care.